So today we're going to talk about two-step multiplication equations. So when we do this, everything still remains the same. So we are squaring off a variable and then doing the opposites. So just as a quick reminder, if you have or if you're adding a constant, you're going to subtract it. If you're subtracting, the opposite is addition. Multiplication, the opposite of multiplication is division. And with division, the opposite is going to be multiplication. So don't get overwhelmed when working with two-step equations. So let's say that you were to look here and I was to give you 3x minus 4 equals negative 16. So just like single step or one step equations, we're going to go ahead and square this bad boy off right here. Then we're going to go ahead and look at this, and simply by squaring it off, you're telling me that this is the last step that you're going to work with. So when we look at minus 4, we know that the opposite is going to be plus 4. So negative 4 plus 4 gives you a 0, and that's why I'm crossing it out. I'm going to go over here, I'm going to add 4 to the other side, because whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Go ahead and rewrite your equation as 3x equals negative 16 plus 4 is going to give you negative 12. So you're going to go through and you're going to do this again, and now we're back to our single step. So if we go back to our single step, we're going to look at 3x equals negative 12. Because it's side by side, we're going to go ahead and just do the opposite, which means that the opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to go ahead and divide by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is going to cross it out and just make it 1. Sometimes we see that 1 and sometimes we don't. So we're going to go ahead and divide over here by 3. So negative 12 divided by 3 just tells you that x equals negative 4. And that's going to go ahead to be your answer. If you wanted to double check your work, you could put x where x is over here and do 3 times negative 4, which gives you negative 12, minus 4, keep change, will then give you negative 16. So you did this one correctly. The next one we're going to look at is 3 plus d over 2 equals 14. So don't stress out because your variable is not in the front. We're just going to go ahead and square off this positive d over 3. Now that we have that squared off, we know that this is the last thing that we're going to touch. So if we see a 3 over here, we know the opposite of positive 3 is minus 3. So we're going to go ahead and cross that guy off. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we're going to do minus 3 and then rewrite it. So we have d over 2 equals 14 minus 3 is going to go ahead and give us 11. Because this is division, the opposite of division is going to be multiplication. So if we did a keep change flip, we're simply taking that denominator, rolling it up top, and then we can cross that guy off. If we multiply this side by 2, we can multiply this side by 2, which gives us d equals 22. If we wanted to double check our work, we could insert it, or 3 plus 22 divided by 2. And we know 22 divided by 2 is simply going to give us an 11. So 3 plus 11 gives you 14. So you did it correctly. Now, if you wanted to look at combining like terms, which is still a multi-step, we could do 3x as an example. 3x plus 7 minus 4x is going to go ahead and equal 9. If we combine our like terms, we've got 3x and we are going to combine that with negative 4x. So 3x minus 4x equals negative x, or negative 1x. If we go ahead and rewrite that, we have 7 minus x equals 9. Square off our negative x, subtract 7 because they're the opposites, subtract 7, so negative x equals 2. Because I have a negative 1 over here, the opposite is going to, we're going to divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. So x equals negative 2. Are you going to see something this complex? For test purposes, no, but we're still going to go ahead and talk about it a little bit. Our final thing that we're going to talk about is the distributive property. So if we have something like negative 2 times x minus 5 equals negative 16, let's just go ahead and drop down that equals negative 16 side. So if we were to look at this, we've been doing the distributive property a pretty long time right now. So negative 2 times x gives you a negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 5 gives you a positive 10. Let's go ahead and square this guy off because that x is what we're going to be working on next. The opposite of plus x is minus x. So if we subtract 10 from one side, we're going to subtract 10 from the other. We're going to rewrite our expression as negative 2x equals negative 16 minus 10. Remember, it's keep, change, change. So you're actually adding these two negatives together. Equals negative 26. You're going to divide because it's the opposite of multiplication. Negative 2. And these guys are going to cross out. If you divide one side by negative 2, you're going to divide the other side by negative 2. Two of the same sides will always equal positive. So x is going to equal positive 13. And that's your answer.